It's top five. I've got 5 minutes yet again to explain reasons why this is my top five. Today's topic is top five sitcoms ever, in my opinion. Number five has got to be Martin. Gina! Yo, who hasn't got love for the Martin show, man? That ish was crazy. Martin came out, he was a comedian, he was funny, he did whatever he wanted. It was one of the first shows where I saw a guy actually come out and actually do stuff that he felt was funny, as opposed to like a show deciding what they thought was funny and then making him do it. My only problem with Martin was that he had to do the whole dress up in a dress thing. That was kind of played out to me, but the character was funny. The whole cast was funny. RIP to Tommy. Martin was a really good show. That's got to be my number five show, Martin. Number four, this is a bit controversial to some people, but for me, it's one of the best shows that I've watched, because I've watched every single episode and I've watched them 3 times over. So The Office has got to be my number four, man. The Office is really funny, character development. Michael Scott, super annoying, but I love Michael Scott. Every single time he'd get in trouble, it'd be so cringe-worthy, but then so good at the same time. Dwight, great character, really funny. You had Jim looking into the camera, man. That was a really good show. And you actually had the beginning of that guy in Hangover. His name was Andy Bernard. I forget his name in real life, but that guy was really funny as well. Every single character was really good. You had Stanley there, you had Phyllis, you had Creed popping in at the odd time, and a really good character I think was Mindy Kaling, who who actually was one of the biggest writers on there, an executive producer. So having a girl named Mindy Kaling from India as one of the top writers, to me, says that this was a great show, and that it actually considered the humor of a person as opposed to just like what's gonna sell and all that. So The Office definitely has to be number four. Number three, I think, has got to be Scrubs. I can't do this all on my own. I'm no Superman. Yo, Scrubs, really good show, man. Like, I can't even imagine growing up without watching Scrubs, because it was one of those shows that was always on TV for me, because we'd always be there just like putting on some young Scrubs, and it would be one of those shows where I'd sit down and actually watch, and I love the way that they did it. It was a really good show, man. Like, it's pretty sad that it ended without the main character. Like, it did that whole thing where the last few seasons, kind of like The Office, so the last few seasons didn't have the main guy, and to me that doesn't make sense, because the show immediately dies after that. Like, there's no point. So number three has to be Scrubs for me. Number two has to be The Cosby Show. Cosby Show, man, it really makes me sad right now that Bill Cosby's gone through all this stuff, man. And you know whether he did it or not, yes, I mean, obviously those are very bad things to do that he's been accused of doing. But then my issue is that we have a legend here who has reached the age where he could actually kind of like make an effect on the whole industry, and then boom, he gets hit with one of those things that you can't really, it's irreversible. You can't really come back from that. So it's really crazy to me that happened to a legend, a guy who had a show about a doctor and a family that was actually living it up, and actually made sure it was funny. It actually didn't portray any stereotypes that were negative. Man, Cosby Show was really big in my life, and really started a whole lot of trends to actually have shows coming out there that sort of don't go with the norm. So The Cosby Show was definitely a big one, man. Big ups to the whole idea, big ups to the whole concept, but a big no to how all this has ended up. It's pretty sad, but as I say, if you actually did those things, then hey, man, like, guy, you did it to yourself. Like, ish, hadi. But I mean, it could have been handled much better. Number one has got to be The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Will Smith, my mentor, my guy. On top of that, man, on top of him being an amazing guy, that was an amazing show. Like, it was so funny, it was so real, it was so, Uncle Phil, you know what I mean? Like, it was so, like, real and original, and I loved it for that, man. Like, I think every single person who watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I know a few people will agree, that show was just good. It wasn't even about it being, like, Will Smith or it being like a black show. Like, it was really good, and it still is good. If you watch it to this day, you'll realize that, the Carlton Banks dance still goes in. You'll realize that it's a really, really good show. Special mention for me personally has got to be, actually, no special mentions here. I'm actually going to keep it to this, because special mentions now, it will start to go into shows that I don't really think are part of my top five. So forget about that. That was my five. That was Martin, The Office, Scrubs, The Cosby Show, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Take 5.